And we are live. Hoping we can get some, waiting on folks to trickle on in. But driving the conversation, what is this? The March the 12th edition, ready to rock and roll. Got us a guest waiting in the backstage to talk about some Shadowdark based goodness. And I'm hoping that everybody is having a wonderful, what is this, Thursday? Yes, it is a Thursday. Let's go ahead and double check, make sure that YouTube is YouTubing. Yep, one of these days I will have enough faith in my ability to operate very simple software that I will not check to make sure it's live and let you guys hear myself talk to myself through myself in some kind of weird inception thing on the microphone. Anyway, Corvid Codex, folks, let's not forget that the Corvid Codex Kickstarter has got a whopping 47 hours left on it. We got a long way to go. And if we can get there, that allows us to stay with traditional publishing where I just go down to the print shop, buy a bunch of books, send them out to everybody. The customer service department becomes me and all that fun stuff. If it doesn't fund, I'm still going to produce it and I'm still going to continue to produce volumes. I'm just going to have to explore some other options, but I do greatly appreciate everyone's support that has backed it. And if you jump in there, let's play, what do they call it? Captain Save a Ho. So I'm going to sit here and pour out my own book. Let's go ahead and make sure that you come save a hoe for me. Anyway, guys, other stuff working around the slowly but surely moving towards being able to get the Dodge Dart down here. I'm really looking forward to that because I want to fix that car up. There is a very slight chance that I might come into possession of an 85 pickup truck that might turn into a project car as well at some point. On down the road, it's, there's some money involved in that, but it's a business partner of mine's got his great square body Chevy with a good little 327 engine in it. Awesome truck. It'll be a really cool show truck for somebody. Drinking OGD 114. That is Old Granddad 114. Fantastic whiskey if you want to have a really good bourbon that's really good for a lot of things, has a nice, strong, high proof, good flavor profile, and costs like $20 or $30 at the most. Poured myself a maple bourbon or a maple bacon old fashioned with the OGD 114. And as you guys are coming in, I'm going to go ahead and jump on this with my guest. I'm drinking OGD 114. And we have the OGGM.
Hey, that's me.
That is you. Say hello to the fine folks.
Hello and
Mike
welcome,
D is in the
boys and girls.
Yeah.
It's your favorite artificial intelligence, the OGGM, broadcasting live from Site B, located in the mythical town of Fresno, Nevada, which does not in fact exist.
Which, by the way, I can't tell you how disappointed I am that your game is not actually set in Fresno, Nevada.
If I expand upon it, I mean, there's a little section on Fresno towards the end of the game, and it's sort of unconsciously assumed that it takes place in Fresno. But we'll see what happens with the story. I have plans if it grows.
Well, that's a good thing. That is
technically, all my games take place in the mystical town of Fresno, Nevada. So.
Yeah, and just so you know, I mean, I might be tipping my hat a little bit here, and you want to talk about getting the cart way before the horse here. Here's the deal. I may or may not slip Fresno, Nevada into my cyberpunk setting.
Please do. For
the game I've been working on. Yeah, that's a great question there, Mike. Where is everyone? It's a slow stream day here. Of course, I punched it out there. Share it. Make sure everybody on X knows that this is where they need to be.
Yes.
I'm sure that for some reason I'm competing with somebody much bigger. Maybe Jenny D is streaming.
Maybe they just found out you were talking to me and they're like, oh, not that guy.
Well, it's probably me. It was my breath.
Yeah.
Bad breath running them all off. But we'll have a few trickle in here over the courses. The thing is that I probably pissed them off. That's what I do. I systematically piss off people one little group at a time. I'm busy pissing off the bro SR, and everybody's coming in. They're all great about it. And then I just kind of drift a little, and I say something about the people who don't like the bro SR, and I piss them off. But the bros don't come back after I piss them off. And then I move on to the Sparkle trolls over on the 5e side of things, and I piss them off. And now I just have everybody pissed off at me. So Agile Monk and Mike old Michael Dale and Mercurius, who is a godsend who supports everybody who doesn't suck. They make up like the whole of my stream audience.
Oh, well. I watch most of your streams.
But that's okay. They'll get
when I remember to.
And which is, of course, why we're jawing around for a good 10, 15 minutes to start off with, because it always takes a little bit of time to get things going. So I got to ask, I've heard you mention the genesis of Fresno, Nevada a few times. Is that a Condor invention? Is that where that came from? Or is that from another?
I wonder. No, I had two friends that we game with at Seth's Games and Anime, the impetus for Seth's Gear and Ammo. And they moved to Fresno. And we thought, well, we're never going to see them again. But they decided that they would drive down from Fresno to Ventura every now and then. So they were in one of my games. And so we're sort of like, I'll set it in Fresno so they can tell me about things they want to, like blow up or whatever, So I meant to say Fresno, California, but for some reason, my brain went Fresno, Nevada, and it stuck. So we just decided that, why not make this imaginary town as the epicenter of the campaign I was running at the time. And then the campaign after that was also modern day-ish post-apocalypse. So I said, you know what? Let's just find this imaginary town and make it. So then I did a search. I was like, wait, maybe there is a Fresno, Nevada. But there are actually very, very few towns named Fresno. Obviously, the most famous, Fresno, California. But if you look at the map of the entire country, there's like 2 other towns that have used that name. You'd think there's more. Rare one. Yeah. So I was looking on the map of Nevada to see what town I wanted to base it on. And I found this little teeny mining ghost town called Ely, Nevada, which is right off the 70. And it has a very weird airport. And the story behind the airport is kind of weird. I talked to a nice lady at their Chamber of Commerce, White Pine Chamber of Commerce. Hello, Gabriel. About the history of their weird little airport. And I was like, I got to use this as the basis for the town, the story about the airport alone and the old mines and stuff. So yeah, there's a little teeny town off of this I-70, former home of a huge copper mining. So yeah, that's where the town came from, and it's just sort of grown since then to be the epicenter of everything I write.
Well, I mean, that's kind of like the most Nevada place I've ever heard of in Nevada. It's out in the middle of the desert. It used to be a copper or a silver or a tin mine at one point in time. It's got an oddball airport in the middle of it. Yeah. And all we need are like aliens or...
it's only 100 so miles away from Area 51.
There you go. So it's like, where's my military base? I mean, is there a stealth fighter there? Is that where they're making the F-47?
I don't think so, but...
who knows? That's funny because I'd heard you talking about Fresno, Nevada that doesn't exist on there, and the way you told it in one of your lives, it sounded like somebody. It sounded like you had said the town at some point in time on live stream, and then somebody was like insisting that it was real.
Yes. Yes, it would have been the same person who insisted I don't live in California because I was walking to work at the time. The same individual that claims he's put me in my place with his recent tongue lashing.
And that's why I was like, this has to be the clown. This has to be Clown.
So yes, he has questioned where I live on more than one occasion.
Which I'm like, no, it's got to. That's a character all himself, isn't it?
Yeah.
I don't like to dedicate too much time to him, but every now and then
either.
Just got to shake my head because I'm like, between him and Garibay, they're competing.
I have more respect for Garibay than I do for him.
I don't know if respect is the word I'd use, but the two of them like compete for like most actually delusional person.
Yeah.
In our corner of the hobby, I think there are some worse people out there in terms of their delusions, and probably more self-harm and other issues that happen with those delusions and some other segments of the hobby. But when it comes to like just head scratching, it's Garibay and Condor are the two biggest head scratchers.
Yeah, they're both interesting observations, psychologically, anthropologically,
and so was your buddy Shawner.
Well, he's not with us anymore. R.I.P. Shawner, but
yep, absolutely.
He was.
I mean, Shawner's a great guy. Like, so I always enjoyed talking to Shawner. But he was such an odd character in the way he said and delivered things.
And he had a great radio voice.
You want to talk about the only thing that really made Condor like truly entertaining to watch was Shawner would review a Condor DM video and Condor would go off like unhinged, foaming at the mouth. I remember one time he reached behind him and grabbed that pack of Q-tips that were always in the background. And, like held them up to the camera and slammed them on the ground and was all ticked off there. You wanted me to move the Q-tips? And I was like, holy. It's like Shawner was just so dead, even like so quiet, never raised his voice, never got upset, never got like animated or anything. Just very quietly talked about him, and Condor would just lose his mind.
Yeah. Shawner was great. I miss him. Anytime I mentioned anything science fiction or Traveler, I was always like, oh, and go to Shawner.
Yeah. He was the man when it came to Traveler. There's no doubt about it. Though I do think the 4D role playing is kind of it ain't my cup of tea.
No,
to me,
whatever.
To me, 4D role playing is like the ultimate. Like that 4D role playing is what the 5e crowd really, really want D&D to be. That's the funny thing. It's kind of like the horseshoe theory of politics, where you have the super far right that wraps around and agrees with the super far left.
Yes.
Kind of the same things like the horseshoe theory of gaming is the extreme super OSR 4D role playing guys, like the ultra extreme on that side, wraps around and meets with like your Jenny D's and stuff because they both want to be theater kids so bad. But the 4D guys do it better.
Jeannie D, our favorite manic pixie dream girl.
Yes. Generic Jenny. So you are rolling out Vigilantes 2, actually.
Vigilantes for Shadowdark 2.0 is currently available on Drive Thru for only $10. Buy it now. Support the OGGM so I can feed Steve.
There you go. It's a copper bestseller already, isn't it?
The first one is, weirdly enough. This one not yet, but it's close.
Okay. So tell me a little bit, because I went through the second one. Obviously, you sent me a copy of it, and I went through it in preparation for talking to you tonight a little bit.
Thank you.
And of course, I obviously went back and looked and kind of glanced at Vigilantes 1.
Oh.
It almost kind of seems like Vigilantes, like the original, is the original your superhero game, and 2.0 more the sidekick game? Because it seems like there is a pretty healthy amount of like Robin gets his love in Shadowdark.
Well, because of the story, the kids side stick story, definitely, yeah. Well, the evolution was Wretched Vigilantes with Miguel and Sylvia. We parted ways. Then it was OSR Vigilantes with Grim Jim, and then that evolved to Vigilantes for Shadowdark 1, because I like to challenge myself to see if I can make a superhero game with every system that has an open source. And I blatantly wanted to hitch my wagon to the Shadowdark, take advantage of the name while I could. So that should have been obvious. So yeah, the first one was the eventual just finishing up what Miguel and Sylvia and I started, but it didn't really work. And of course, there was a whole AI art thing. So almost immediately, I started working on this, which is taking everything from that one, and then I just chopped it all up and bringed it, more streamlined, more easier to understand, easier to make sense, more embracing the dark, grim 80s, 90s Punisher style that we were trying to do with. And I really, it was always about trying to really explain this whole phenomenon that Miguel and Sylvia and I first started with the idea of biogenetically creating supers, and the whole experiment of MK Ultra. Yeah. So I went way down the MK Ultra, Everwood, Armory, Project Stargate rabbit hole to really look into these programs that supposedly the CIA and military intelligence conducted over there on trying to create psychic spies, and the fact that the CIA still apparently hypothetically has an active program researching uplifted humans. So that was the whole thing, is what would happen if somebody created superhumans? And then the world just sort of grew with all the sub books, and then so I knew it had to be rewritten, partially because the art, partially because there was just a lot of mistakes in it, formatting. So this is as close to what I want it to be as I think it's going to get, unless I decide to continue with it. If it depends how well it sells. The goal, I'm following Victor's footprints with Blacklight. I'll see how well it does for a couple of months, and if I think it's at a point where people want to invest in it, I'll kickstart it. Congratulations, Victor, by the way, on the success of Blacklight and Streets of Magic. Absolutely. And if it doesn't, then if it doesn't go anywhere, then I can just say, oh, well, I did it. I'll move on. I know I have a lot of things working against me. It's a niche within a niche within a niche. Superhero role-playing games never do really well. Stuff like that.
Of course, Grognard Gate.
Yeah. Oh, thank you, Grognard.
Oh, yeah. It's not a hypothetical. It's a black and white fact. Just saying. Yeah. I mean, basically, the CIA doing shady shit is just kind of par for the course. Because every time you hear about them doing some kind of crazy nonsense, it's like, there's no way, that's got to be an exaggeration. Then 5 years later or 10 years later, it's like, oh, by the way, not only were they doing that, they were doing that worse.
So, yeah. Project Vampire in the Philippines. Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Because it's not new. There's nothing new that's being tread there. I mean, that's basically, other than it being a CIA versus a corporation, that's basically what The Boys is a company, a corporation is, doing the super soldier serum.
Trying to create super soldiers, yeah.
Yeah, it's not that big of here you go. It's not that big of a leap from the Tuskegee experiments or MK Ultra or any of the other various clandestine psyops that
DARPA with their cybernetics, yeah.
And it's like, what's the difference? And we'll use a movie reference here because it's about as accurate as it gets anyway. What is the only difference between giving me a shot that allows me to jump from building to building and lift cars and me giving copious amounts of steroids to Ivan Drago so he can beat up Rocky is scale.
Mm-hmm.
And there was the only thing that happened in Rocky 4 that was not accurate on the Russian side of things was, that's not technically how steroids work, but yeah, they were pumping all of their athletes full of every chemical they could possibly get, every hormone they could find to make them perform better.
Yes.
And that's not a big leap from, Dynaball to super soldier serum.
Yeah. Oxygen doping.
Yeah. Oxygen doping and cycling.
Being in a hyperbaric chamber to get your body thinking it's in a higher altitude, all the stuff that they do too. And we know, the military shows us pictures of guys wearing beginner combat armor and the beginner, stuff like that. So yeah, it wasn't that far of a yeah.
methamphetamine.
Yeah, I mean, and there's all sorts of stuff out there, adrenaline, methamphetamines.
Oh, and that wasn't even an experiment. That wasn't even crazy CIA stuff. Like that was just the government just said, "Hey, here's some meth because you're on fire watch.
Stay awake. It'll have no side effects. You'll be fine. We'll take care of you." So
don't worry about the fine print. Doesn't matter.
Yeah. So the goal was to explore all the different types of that style, the street level heroes, from just the old classic guy in a trench coat with a domino mask and his only power is 2 fists, all the way up to the fledgling psychics and the cyborgs and stuff like that. And then I have the optional for the really hardcore, 4-color stuff in the back. Yeah,
which I'm glad you brought that up, because that was one thing that when I was flipping through and scanning through the book that really struck me. That was one thing I was really happy about was this is a superhero game, but you didn't leave out the Batman and the Dick Tracy and the Shadow.
No, it's them first, and then.
Yep, that's right. And oh my God, I can't believe I can't remember the guy's name. He's a pulp icon.
The Phantom, my personal favorite.
Yeah, the Phantom. Purple jumpsuit with the skulls. Yep. All those guys. And that's the whole thing you start the book off with. It's like, hey, here's like the hard-boiled detective who just decided he's going to be more hard-boiled than the rest, and the guy has the wristwatch and everything, the watch communicator, and here's the guy who's like, I think if I remember correctly, and correct me if I'm wrong, you literally have a class that's like, here's the billionaire. Here's the billionaire with a cave under his house.
Yeah, I have the inventor class and the cyborg class, and that's where if anything, I want to take away from the game is I came up with this weird experimental, vague point-based gear system. Everybody's like, wow, that actually works. And the whole I didn't want to argue guns. I originally had like all these complex lists of weapons like Victor and all the other people do modern day guns, and if you were listening to my interview earlier today with the Armory coming from Evil Genius Games, where they have like 700 different guns, and I was like, yeah, but what if I get something wrong and somebody argues with me? I'll just make up guns.
Oh yeah, and I'm going to say this. I came up on Cyberpunk 2020.
Yeah.
And one of the hallmarks of Cyberpunk 2020 is that if you had people who were really dedicated to that game for a long period of time, D&D players will tell you about their character class and, what multi-class they did and what prestige class they took and that sort of thing. Cyberpunk characters tell you about what type of weapon they had. They're like, I had a Militech this, or I had a Mandalorian arms, or, I was doing this with the polymer one-shot with the budget arms out of the vending machine. That was the whole character of them. But I look at superheroes and it's like, I don't need a bunch of like super detailed, realistic firearms rules in a superhero game, if for no other reason than the fact of the matter is it's superheroes.
Yeah.
A large part of them is guns don't necessarily work. Either they don't work or they always work. It's like I'm the human superhero and every gun may as well be a 50 cal, because if it hits me, it's a major story plot, a major plot point. Or I'm a superhero, like I'm Superman, and I just stand there with my chest out and they just bounce off of me like they're not even moving. So, all you need is, pistol, do it like Cyberpunk Red.
Mm-hmm.
Pistol, heavy pistol, very heavy pistol, submachine gun, assault
rifle. I kind of did that. I did sort of this build your own.
Yeah, which I think is perfectly fine. I think it fits the vibe. I think with Streets of Magic, like Victor did, he needed a little bit more of that because he was trying to be gritty and on the street, and that's the kind of place where it's like my switch matters. I got the Glock, or I got the Taurus, or and I'm packing a 1911. Y'all are pores because I'm running around with a Kimber, or I'm running around with a Nighthawk or something like that. And it actually kind of matters there because it's not just your weapon; it's a status symbol.
Yes.
But in the superhero game, it's like, I don't care. You have a pistol and it bounces off less far than the machine gun.
Yeah. That I didn't want people to, gear be a thing. Doing gadget rules has always been the major problem with any superhero game. We never seem to get gadgets right. So just sort of borrowing a page from Champions, and I sort of made this little system, which is blatantly, with his permission, from Victor. My gear section is basically Blacklight's gear section with a couple things filed off. Victor gave me his permission, and I think I'd be half of where I was if I wasn't so inspired by watching Victor. So he's definitely one of my inspirations.
There you go. Half of the C-list villains are just equipped with special gun.
Oh yeah, Firefly. Yeah.
Yeah. Hold on, I got to do this real quick. Otherwise, Mike. Next thing you know, I'm gonna lose Mike D too, because old Mikey D is always here supporting. Which, by the way, that's what I've decided I'm calling you now, man. Everybody else is like, "Oh, it's Michael Dale." I'm like, I'm calling Mikey D. I'm gonna make him special over here. But I've skipped like a couple of his, so I got to go back to this one real quick. Wouldn't it be interesting if I cracked one day over the idiocracy that is X and became the American version of Condor? No, there is a zero chance.
I can't. You have to have a lot of. You have to have a lot of hate.
That would be one massive epic meltdown. But here's the reason why that is a 0% chance. Condor, his meltdowns are from a place of like supreme conceit. Mine would be from a place of like, it would almost be like a collapse into like a nihilism black hole. I am like the most anti-nihilistic person on the planet. So, I'm expanding into a great star of, hey man, we can make this work, or there's good in all of this, and we can find something to make, we can find that silver lining. There's something we can profit from here. And eventually I'm going to be like, good from the Bro SR, good from 5e, good from Ryan David, good from like all that stuff is going to go away, and I'm going to collapse into this black hole of you guys all suck, you're all terrible, there's nothing good about any of you, and that's going to be the meltdown. One giant supernova of you all suck.
Well, hopefully you have a support system so that won't happen.
We do. I have a support system right here.
Yeah. Well, hey, whatever works. It's one of the many issues I think he has, is that there is nobody else there. He's chased so many people away.
And he doesn't drink either. I think he's a teetotaler.
Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. We don't know.
I mean, he definitely smokes. I mean, he chain smokes, but as far as drinking goes, I think he's a teetotaler. I don't think he drinks. And it's like, man, somebody needs to send him a bottle of, and there's no such thing as good Canadian whiskey. Maybe that's why he doesn't drink. Maybe we should send him a good old bottle of American bourbon. Next thing you know, Condor shows up. He's making sense. Everything's clean and put together. He's very likable. Who knew? There you go. I know you answered it in chat, but let's go ahead and answer this up front, because this show is about you and not about Condor or me.
Thank you. So Vigilantes 1 was what I put out like 2 years ago or a year ago, and that was the experiment. And there are definitely issues. There's a lot of editing issues, spelling issues. I used a lot of AI art. So I knew it had to be fixed. So V2 is basically the 3.5. It's got new characters. It's got new rules. It's not a new edition. It's totally a new edition. It's what it should have been. It's the final step in the evolution of what I want it to be. It's as close to what I see in my mind when I explore that universe as I think it's going to get with the system in question. The thing to do would be find a different system and take it there. I think I've taken Shadowdark as far as I can for this. The goal is always, does every idea I have work in this system? And it's so rare, especially with this specific genre, to find that. The litmus test is always, can you build Spider-Man?
So what you're saying is, this is Vigilantes for Shadowdark 2024 core rule set revision.
Yes, but that would have taken up a lot of room.
Definitely not edition. It's definitely not 1.5.
It's an upgrade. It's not a new. It is technically sort of kind of a new edition. All the character stuff, all the history stuff is the same, but more research. I've got a lot of the characters that people made up during the playtest in there. A little less focusing on the story and a little more focusing on the mechanics. So it feels like the kind of classic Villains of Vigilantes 100-page book that you would walk into a comic book store, see this awesome cover that Jacob Blackmon did for me, and say, hey, yeah, superheroes for $10, why not?
Awesome. So you gave me 2 segues, which means I don't get to use one of the really smooth ones because I have to pick one.
Okay.
And we'll start off with this. We've mentioned the art several times. That is one of the big differences. If I'm not mistaken, you have 2 artists that put in a lot of the work for Vigilantes too.
2. I've got Rob Necronomicon. I bought about $40 worth of his stock art for a lot of the things, because like I say, when I niche into a niche, part of the niche is it has to have a specific look. It can't be 4-color superheroes. It can't be Spider-Man. It's got to be sort of these quasi-realistic streetwear 1990, Tech 9 type stuff. So finding art that matched that look was very hard, which is, I just throw a prompt at the comptometer and it gave me some amazing AI art, but people hate the AI art no matter how good it looks. So Rob's style fit. Then I have Andrew, who is the role model for the series major villain, Andrew Weatherford. I had a lot of art that he did for me. Then a couple other people supplied art, and I paid Jacob Blackmoon for the cover because I knew I needed a really good cover. And he'd done some art for me in the past. And then recently, I am totally honored and surprised. David Oakham, who is very familiar with very big in the Babies with Knives superhero Save the Days. His art's all over the place. Reached out and he did the inner cover for me, and we're still in the process to seeing if he wants to do some more art. So the next evolution of the game, if I kickstart it, will have, as always, part of the Kickstarter would be to pay for more art. And I'm trying to teach myself Affinity and laying it out better. So not only is it a cosmetic change, so it looks more professional, but there were some things that people had problems with that I clarify. One of the things was the voice of the book. You couldn't tell who was talking, because sometimes it's very serious and sometimes it's whimsical and goofy, much like me. So I didn't make it clear enough that the narrator of the entire book is Tag, our mascot. So another thing of this is I've kind of removed most of the Tag stuff. She has her little story and she has her little comments at the end of every section with the trying to explain things that may not have made sense. But it's a little bit more cut and dry, the narrative. So I've tried to definitely shave out some of the quirkiness, because that was, when Eclectic Goat did her amazing review of it a few months ago. One of the main concerns she had was the voice. It's because it goes goofy when it's her and serious when it's the rules. And I didn't make it clear that, it's all being told from her point of view. She's narrating the game. So that had to go. So instead, there's a running story featuring our 2 main characters, Kid Psychic, my take on Robin. Which is actually
kind of funny because it's another parallel, to get a shameless self-plug in here. It's actually one of the kind of funny parallels that you have with what I'm putting out, Corbin Codex, is in our writer's room, we talk about voice on a regular basis, because one of the major problems you have in modern writing is that every single character sounds like the author.
Mm-hmm.
They're supposed to be 2 different people, but they speak the same way. They have the same cadence. They use the same sentence structure. They use the same vocabulary, but they're supposed to be different people. And it's monotonous because the narration and the quotations all are uniform regardless of whose point of view you're in or whose speech is coming through. And that's one of the things we constantly talk about in our writer's room when it comes to writing good stories and good characters, is making sure that both, not just the narrator, but also each individual character is very clear. Like, you should be able to read just the dialogue and know which character is saying what.
Yes.
And then, of course, like I said, our art style is very similar too, because my pulp novella is extraordinarily Frank Miller, noir, like 80s grim noir style art, and so is this. Here's your cover right here, which of course is fantastic.
Yeah, but that's AI. I changed it.
You've changed it?
Yeah, the new one is the current cover that's in my little thing there.
Which we'll have to take a look at that, because
yeah, I love that cover. The cover is based upon the cover from Vigilantes 1, which was a painting my sister did for me that people said was AI. I was like, no, my sister painted it. See it on her portfolio. So I just wanted to clean that up. And so I ran it through AI. And I thought it looked great. And it told the story of the game. But oh my God, the hate the cover got.
So here's a good look. You know, it's best I can for your thumbnail, because I don't have this for it right here. But, you know, they can see the black and white cover you have here.
Yeah, that's the current cover by Jacob Blackmoon.
Let's go ahead and open this up real quick.
And then people, of course, have said the picture that Jacob did is also AI. That's my favorite of all the AI pictures. I had like 100, 200 pictures that I did for AI, and that one just, I don't know, all the ones I made, I was like, I love this guy. I don't know who he is, but I want to know his entire story.
The only thing about this one is that you can tell this one's AI.
Yeah, but that's one of the ones I don't care.
With his long pants that are coming out of his shorts and whatnot.
Yeah.
And his weird broken fingers.
But but he just looks
this
great.
Right here, that's a nice, is that a piece of Rob's Stark art maybe?
No, that's Andrew Measle, aka Andrew Weatherford.
Yeah. So a lot of these
that's Andrew. Yeah. That's what's his name? Stock art artist by the name of Tim.
And you shall call him Tim.
I can't think of his name, but it's in the credits. Yeah.
I like that kind of wasp-esque.
Yeah.
And this is your billionaire inventor.
I paid for his entire collection of stock art.
Which, I mean, stock art is a great way to go. I mean, this is as cartoony as it gets right here.
Well, gadgeteer section, I had to include a Rube Goldberg gadget, you know.
Of course.
Stock art.
Is this a public domain picture that's been like pixelated, or what is this here?
Yes. I had to do public domain, black and white. And then I ran it through remove background. So it didn't bleed. Drive Thru and Lulu are both very big about bleed now when you put stuff on. That's Rob.
Oh yeah, this is clear. This is Rob all day long.
Yeah.
And there's no question about that. I could pull up any of the Rob Necronomicon pieces from Corbin and throw it up here, and you would look right next to this and he's like, yeah, those are obviously the same character. That one right there, that looks like that's probably Rob too.
Yeah. Anything with that black cutout is Rob.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, this right here, let me see if I can dig this file up real quick, because I'm gonna tell you what that one right there looks like is right here.
Yeah.
It's got the
guy in the back.
Kinda, the way this mechanical work looks right here.
Yeah.
You know, you can actually look over here into this, and it's got the same kind of flow and the same kind of texture in the way he puts this stuff in there, which is great. And you want to talk about something that is an awesome thing for anybody out here who's looking to put a book together. Don't overlook stock art.
No, God, no. The book I'm working on now is going to be 100% stock art.
You're not selling art. This is not a coffee table book for people to look at the art. You're selling a game. That's what people are buying. So who cares if they can copy the art or somebody else can buy it?
Yeah, exactly. It's finding the look was the problem. So, but I think
I can imagine so. Like you said, Rob actually fits perfectly for this.
That's another one of his.
Yeah, because I mean, this is so much that hyper. What's the word I'm looking for? That kind of hyper noir, stylized '80s look.
Yeah, I can. If I can share a screen, I can show you what some of the stuff is
now. Go ahead and upload it, because or throw it up here, because I'm not sure if it'll let you share a screen, but if it will, I'll give you permission.
There it is.
Let me see here. You're above my pay grade when it comes to streaming there, buddy.
Okay, sorry.
There we go. Hold on. No, let me this guy's got to go away. And there we go. There you go.
So yeah, you can see the art changes here. Underlining this thing, redid the table of contents. There's the picture that David Oakham gave us.
That has got like a very like early 2000s Cartoon Network vibe to it. Like what was that show that they had on Cartoon Network that made it was like the Justice League?
Had the I know which one you're. Well, there was Drawn Together, and then there was the one that on Dexter's. That was sort of a
Justice I think League. It did play on like Dexter's Lab or something like that. That was a little past my cartoon era, but it was it had like the American Eagle guy and Macho Man Randy Savage did a space villain who beat up all the people that were part of the Avengers ripoff.
Yeah, yes.
But that's what it looks like to me. I mean, it looks like that Dexter's Lab style artwork, which I think it's actually pretty cool. Samurai Jack, that sort of thing. Yeah, that guy's cool. I like that dude up there.
The changes. Most of it, is constantly just fixing the layout. So I try and do an update once a week for everybody who's already purchased it. That the new art, the new layout. So right now it's just Infinity. Just try and make it look a little bit more professional. Professional. I don't know what the secret magic button is to get people to buy it, but I'm desperate here, guys. Buy my game. I got a cat to feed.
Well, I mean, it's definitely worth the buy. And tell us about this. Let's get to the nuts and bolts. Let's get into the meat of it.
Okay.
When you talk about like, hey, why should we buy this game? Here's a big one. How well? Because let me preface this. I've said this before. Even though Dungeons and Dragons has evolved into kind of a superhero-esque fantasy game. It is long since moved past any kind of like gritty adventurer style.
Yeah.
It's no longer Conan struggling against the famous line about Conan is he's never overpowered by a human in any of the books. Any of the stories, he's never even challenged by a human. Even several humans he overpowers. But there are several times where he struggles against these supernatural beings. So that is, that's your old school D&D. Your new school D&D is way more your anime sword slinger, kill everything style.
Yeah,
and
totally.
As we know, Shadowdark is a D&D, a modern OSR marriage D&D derivative.
Yes.
So how does the superhero feel? How did you make this give people the comic book superhero feel in that genre that kind of plays more to the anime superhero / adventurer vibe? How did you pull that to the modern era? And
the vibe I was going for was the same as Victor and all the other people who are doing Shadowdark Modern. It's modern, but it's gritty. It's that 1990s Iron Age, Punisher, Watchmen, all the stuff Rob Liefeld did, where it's super, but it's 20 seconds in the future super, as opposed to Superman, Spider-Man, stuff like that. It's classic pulp. It's taking the classic pulps, The Shadow, Black Terror, the early Justice Society. Nobody really had powers in the early Justice Society. They were all just guys with gimmicks. Dr. Midnight, my gimmick is I can see in the Hour Man. My gimmick is I've got superpowers for an hour. First Iron Man, I'm basically a power loader with tinfoil. Spider-Man, early days Spider-Man, I'm just a kid. I can climb walls. So that was the feel I was going for. And Shadowdark, strangely enough, works. One of the big tests for me for Shadowdark has been that every idea I've thrown in it, no matter how ridiculous, works. Because it is basically dumbed down D20 with a few decent, ideas. But I mean, as much as I love Kelsey and what she's done, there's nothing original in Shadowdark. She just took stuff that was there and bashed together, and it just works. What other people have tried to do and haven't done. There's a reason why her game and its derivatives are all still in the conversation, But I don't know, when was the last time you heard anybody talk about the $13 million role-playing game, which is like number 40 on sales? No, yeah, because it doesn't work. So that was the main goal, was trying to capture that street level feel and
fusion. It's like fusion food when you talk about Shadowdark. Fusion food. Nothing that's in fusion cuisine is new. You're just taking Mexican and Italian and mixing it. And it's the same deal. It's like sometimes you take like a weird Japanese seafood culture, bring it over and mix it with kind of a ceviche vibe, and you make these kind of cool sushi tacos that everybody wants to buy, and they fly off the shelves and they charge ungodly amounts of money for them, and they get Michelin stars. And then some asshole tries to mix fish tacos with chicken parmesan and makes this weird amalgamation of catfish with cheese on it, and it's absolutely disgusting. So a lot of times what you fuse is the art is in knowing what to fuse. And Shadowdark, I think Shadowdark hit that vibe perfectly. And then both your game and, like you said, Victor's game does the same thing.
Yeah.
But you understood the assignment.
Yes.
You said, I don't need Golden Age comics. I don't need modern comics where these guys have 14,000 powers. Yes. I need to go Silver Age, or I need to go to Frank Miller, Dark Knight era Batman in the Miller, 80s.
Dark Knight.
I need to go super, super noir style. It needs to be very gritty. It's almost like what Spawn did in the 90s.
Yes. Where, the goofiness was definitely toned down. I mean, like I said, there is optional 4-color rules in the back, but it's meant to be street level or slightly above street level. Even the most powerful people aren't that powerful. Anybody in this comic can be taken down with a gun. You can still kill Speech. Despite all his skills, Kid Sidekick, as he mentions in the story, one good shot and he's done. Nobody's immortal.
How do you put the 4-color vibe in there? Because obviously the regular black and white Frank Miller hardcore noir vibe, the Batman uses a machine gun vibe that you get fits very well with what Shadowdark already did with exploration and torch mechanics and all that crap. But how did you take that? How do you make the 4-color comic superhero vibe, the more cartoony comic book superhero vibe? How do you make that work with Shadowdark?
Well, that's why it's optional. It definitely ups the power scale, and ups what the powers can do, and all the physics breaking stuff. What I did for the 4-color section is I took every spell in Shadowdark and some of the supplements, and I just changed them and turned it into a superpower. I changed some of Kelsey's math for the 4-color stuff to make it more, the scaling work better, because she has scaling math and some stuff that contradicts other scaling maths. Like she has 1, 3, 5, 7, 9 for some math, but then some of the other math is every other level. It's like, no, just make it 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. A lot of stuff that was basically inspired by Shadowdark, where like you get a bonus, and that bonus scale. That's perfect for low level superheroes. +2 to Dex, and then at 3rd level I get another +2 to Dex or whatever. That's perfect for the slow street level progression of the core games. But for the 4-color rules, that was all like advantage. You're staying out doing more damage. You can take more damage. There's more ridiculous superpowers in here, like animate dead. But again, it's all it is the spells. So even there, the basis was taking spells, which is the closest thing you have to comic books, and then looking at some of the comic book role-playing games that came out in the late 70s, like Villains of Vigilantes, and just converting that. And it seems to work. We'll see how the playthroughs go. But I've had a bunch of people look at it and suggest it. So, but the 4-color are not the core. It's supposed to be the progression of characters is from that street level guy all the way up to the psychic, but that's it. That's every movie and TV show that I watched to get this thing. And I like watched all these horrible 1980s, 1990s superhero shows, and I have this flow chart of which powers show up the most times. Like the one that they did on Netflix. They have like 5 different ones on Netflix. Of course, Push and Jumper, the 2 classics. Limitless and Lucy, which I swear is in the same universe. So yeah, I mean, the original idea, if we go all the way back to when I started this, is the drug from Limitless the same drug she has in her stomach in Lucy, and it's just more of it. And because the whole premise of the drug was in Limitless was you could use 100% of your brain for an hour, and the whole premise of Lucy is she had 100 of those in her stomach, and it got directly into her bloodstream, and she became a god. So yeah, that was the original idea. And I've been working on this a lot longer before Wretched. And Wretched just seemed to be the perfect first step to try this system. But as much as I appreciate Sylvia and Miguel, there was not only the personality clash, but it was always square peg, round hole with working to pound stuff into their system. And then with Shadowdark, it was like, oh, this just works.
As I was about to say, when you say square peg, round hole, you're talking about the Wretched system just doesn't work for what you were trying to do.
No, it didn't. I was always fighting uphill with them, with the system.
No.
But
that's understandable. I mean, sometimes the system didn't work.
Yeah. And,
did you ever, as you say, you started with this well before looking at putting it into Wretched. Did you ever develop this as its own system, or were you ever looking at developing it as its own system, or was this more of a like doing it as its own system never occurred? It was going to be a D&D
why don't I have my own system, and I have to remind them I already did that. It's easier for me to use other people's systems and bash them to what I work, and I could build it. I actually am working on something that might be my own system eventually, but what does that even mean? Apparently I've been accused of being a copier, that there's only one person who's making original. What does that mean? Make my own system. There's no idea that I could come up with that hasn't already been done. There's only so many ways I could do D20. There's only so many ways I could do multipliers of D6. I could be, Horde Wars, we use a D12 and it's different, it's unique. It's like, yeah, it's still roll over or roll under. It's still beat that number. No matter how many different variations of beat that number we come up with, it still beat that number. I mean, the last original system I saw was Dread, and that only works with that one genre, really. Using a Jenga tower to influence that level of stress. It's like, that's brilliant. Unbelievably noisy. I don't know how that would work, but yeah, I love the idea. So claiming your system is unique and original and everybody else is copying, there's nothing unique and original about your system. Everything's been done. It's just finding new ways to use the screenwriters as a screenwriter. There's only 5 stories you can tell, and there's only 34 ways to tell them. Once you understand that, it's how do I take superheroes and Shadowdark and make it unique enough that it stands on its own, as well as be approachable enough that anybody who knows D20 superheroes, level-based superheroes, works. And if we're going to argue systems, Champions is the best superhero role-playing game system, but it's also a slog. I grew up on level-based superheroes. I grew up on Marvel, Golden Heroes, Heroes Unlimited, and Villains and Vigilantes. And level-based supers works because level justifies why Batman can go toe-to-toe with cosmic level bad guys and hold his own, because Batman's like 25th level by the time you meet him, right? He's got all those years of training and he's always prepared. So that's how you can justify, to paraphrase, in comic books and in movies and books, you always hear characters say, he would have had me if not for my years of experience. So level-based is definitely one thing. And it just kind of D20 level-based supers works. It's simple. Everybody understands it. Would I go further with this? I think I've pushed Shadowdark as far as I can go. There's other systems I want to play with. Would I ever release another system of my own? I don't know. I sort of am kind of working on one that might end up being my own thing, but I mean, I did that. I've done that. My stuff is out there in the wild. Occasionally people remind me, oh, hey, I saw your name on a thing. I'd rather take a system and work with it and then have somebody else do the hard work. My dream is to have somebody else publish everything. You just pay me to do the ideas, do the research, do the research, come up with the world stuff, but all that stuff that you have trouble with, I'll take care of. Sure, you'll make less money, but I'm like, oh, right, well, I'm getting like a $5 now for my game, so it's not, the for me the main enemy for me is my brain, my disability, my not being able to see the problems. Shadowdark for Vigilantes 1 was filled with problems. I didn't see them. I had other people have to tell me, the problems were there. So yeah, that's my secret dream. If somebody just wants to pay me to do ideas and building, and they'll deal with the politics and the mechanics and everything else. Yeah. So that's why I hack systems. Hacking systems is fun. I'm always on the lookout. What's the system I can hack next? And is it a perfect system for supers, or am I done with supers? I mean, it's a niche within a niche within a niche. Like you said, I should do a source book for just Fresno, Nevada. So that might be, if we get to the level where I'm thinking it's making enough money. I do have, floating out there in the stuff is the idea of doing a supplement for this, of exploring more of the Fresno as a setting and doing the things that come up during the playtest or whatever, or just stuff I didn't feel like I had time for or room for.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's my dad always told me, man's got to know his limitations. And there's nothing wrong with that. Saying, hey, you know what? I'm not a system designer. That's not where I am. Mm-hmm. But I am really good at recognizing that this particular system works well for this, that, or the other. Understanding that the hyper skill based D100 roll under system works really well for certain type of games, but not others. Or understanding the D10 system works really well for those like like the modern, hyper deadly, skill-based systems works really well, but it doesn't work great for a level.
Yeah, there's no universal.
And then understanding that, like D20, there's 5e is the closest to D20 modern that actually works. Mm-hmm. I'm a big 3.5 guy, and D20 modern, which was a 3.5 base game, maybe. 5th edition sucks ass for a medieval fantasy game.
No, it's not a medieval fantasy.
But it actually works extraordinarily well in Everyday Heroes.
Yes, I love that system.
As a modern game, as that cinematic modern game. And it's a lot easier to say, look, what I'm good at is understanding, in like, let's take your case for example here. Understanding that I know how superheroes work. I know what superheroes are good for. Like, I know the things that make them tick. I know the story beats and the things to emphasize to give you the feeling of being a superhero. I'm not necessarily the great math rocks guy who can figure out the best thing, but you know what I can do? I can read through Shadowdark, Castles and Crusades, Interlock Unlimited, Call of Cthulhu, and D20, and I can tell you the one that works best to give me the superhero feeling. Yes. And if you recognize that, that's why you make something. This right here, I read through it and it works.
Thank you.
It works. Like, I can read through it and I can tell you that it works for what you're trying to show, which, by the way, that comic panel was awesome.
It's like 30 years old, but thank you.
It still looked awesome.
Yeah, and I had a lot of art that was made during the 80s when we were playing, but it all burnt up in the fire in 2018. So, yeah.
You had a fire in 2018, huh?
Yeah, the Thompson fire in Ojai. The house burnt up, lost everything,
That's terrible.
Kind of thing, yeah.
That's awful, because, I mean, you never know every now and then, that's one thing. I've never had a fire in my life as a person.
Yeah. And you don't want one.
Yeah, I hope to never have one. But that I've always kind of sympathized anytime, like, with the Malibu fires or the Australian wildfires or any major fire disaster. I always sit back and think, and I'm like, I think about all those times I went digging through like boxes in my closet, and I came across a notebook that has all the notes from a D&D campaign from 2003 in them.
Yeah, I missed that.
And I read through, I'm like, man, wait a minute. I completely forgot I had that idea. That's cool, and I can use that again, or I can write a book on that, or I can write a story about it, or I can maybe even create adventures about that. Anytime like you hear like the big fire disaster, oh, he lost everything in a fire. I'm like, I can't imagine what it's like to go through life knowing that there is an ultimate end. Like 2004, when the fire happened, I know that is as far back as that magical rediscovery can go.
Yes, exactly. I can't find anything before 2018 because it burned up. All my records, all my books. That's awful, everything that I was storing in my parents' attic. Yeah.
I feel for you on that one, because that hurts. Because like I said, that's what I always go back to is I'm like, what would it be like to understand that I'm never going to pull that, I don't know, Sword and Fist 3.5 fighter and monk supplement out of a box again because I know it burned up.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and it's not the first time I've lost my entire collection, but yeah, there was some stuff that I cannot replace, books, art.
Definitely know the feeling.
My sister's $15,000 Charizard.
That's the one that would hurt, but
it did hurt because
I don't know. Let's have a little competition here. Which hurts worse? Your sister's $15,000 Charizard burn up.
Yeah.
In 2003, I sold a beta Black Lotus for $5,000. I sold it. I'm sure whoever I sold it to still has it, but I sold it for $5,000. Which hurts worse? The burn up Charizard for $15,000, or the fact that I sold a Black Lotus for $5,000?
Well, there's other things besides the Charizard that got burnt up, but
true.
I didn't know it was worth $15,000 at the time.
Exactly. I didn't know that the Black Lotus,
but definitely
$250,000 at the time.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those. Hey, I remember when I sold them. Whenever you see those joke questions, if you could go back in time, what would you tell yourself? My answer is, do not sell your magic cards.
Yeah. Don't sell it. Like, dude, you have a Gaia's Cradle. You have a Black Lotus. You have a Mock Pearl. Don't sell them. Wait.
Power Blue. Do
you can pay your house off?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Pay off your house. Send your kid to college now, but yeah.
It's like, instead, what did you get? Parts for your Camaro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Don't sell your toys, kids.
What we got here? Nothing wrong with fan supplements. D&D has plenty of them. They sell. Can't beat what works. You can't beat what works.
Yeah. And Kelsey made the rules Common Core. Before I publish anything, I send her a copy so she knows it's out there. And if because her legal guys have contacted me at least twice about changing names and stuff. So yeah, it's always up and up, but I don't know. This might be my last Shadowdark project, unless I do the Streets of Fresno kind of thing. But I don't know what
Streets of Fresno. There you go.
Yeah. Now I know it's going to live in your Cyberpunk game, so I could just write stuff for you.
There you go. Hey, my system is all D30. You're welcome to play with it.
Well, oh my God, you're giving love to D30. Wow, that's a brave.
Oh, I love the D30, man. I love the D30. Yeah. First off, I'm going to bloviate a little bit here. I'm going to turn this away from my guest back to myself for just a second.
We're reversing positions, is how I get to interview you.
We're reverse positions here for just a second.
Why doesn't this guy have 1,000 subs? You marks.
Because he brings guests on and talks about himself.
Oh, you should totally have reached 1,000 by now, dude.
But no, the system that I started developing is I call it the 3612 system. Mm-hmm. Because I use a D30, a D6, and a D12. Everything's a multiple of 3. The whole system is based around multiples of 3, which that's kind of the to call it a gimmick is wrong, but that makes the math make sense from a psychological perspective. I kind of said, how can I make these rules not necessarily on a surface level, but on a psychological level, easy to understand? And putting everything in a multiple of 3 makes it really easy for me to figure out where something needs to be, because I can group difficulty classes, I can group bonuses, I can group the way the system works into segments of 3.
Yeah, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. Yeah.
Yeah. And it makes life super easy.
And who doesn't
the other thing was, I looked at it and I'm like, what games do I love? I absolutely adore Cyberpunk.
Me too.
But the D10 is crazy.
Yeah.
I love Call of Cthulhu.
Yep.
But the D100, half the time, a D100 doesn't really matter, because we don't have a lot of situations where we really need that granularity of 1% increments.
Yeah.
And to me, the D20 is just too swingy. It really is. Having each face of the die be 5% is too swingy in a lot of situations, particularly if you run long-running campaigns and you get to those higher levels. You start adding more bonuses and stuff. You get to the point where the D20 doesn't even matter.
Yeah, your bonuses are better than
I got plus 40 to my attack, so why the hell does the D20 matter?
Yeah, yeah.
So I picked a D30. I'm like, this is 33 and a third on every single roll, on every single face. It's a repeating decimal. It's 33 and a third. It's very psychologically satisfying. It's small enough to where I can get granular, but it's not so small that it gets insignificant. I can make all my other dice divide into it, and that's why I picked D30. But yes, the first D30 game that I am going to make, I've already made the decision, is going to be Cyber City Dodge, which is a cyberpunk setting that is inverted. It is based around Dodge City, Kansas. Every cyberpunk story you hear, every cyberpunk world you hear is everybody runs to the coast, everybody runs to the giant cities, and it's always about life inside the big city.
Yeah.
This is about the area that was abandoned. It's still very high tech, but everything regressed back to Dodge City in the cattle rustler days in the Wild West.
That's what I tried to do with my post-Holocaust game. And that's kind of what they did with the Electric State, you know.
Exactly. So Fresno, Nevada.
To the rest of the world, when, you know. Exactly, yeah. So that's cool.
Yeah. And Fresno, Nevada actually fits perfectly.
You're welcome.
I have Cyber City Dodge, right? Which is in Dodge City, Kansas. And I have the Strand, which is a highway super city that runs from San Francisco to Tokyo across the Pacific Ocean.
Oh, cool.
But I don't have anything in the middle yet. And Fresno, Nevada can very easily be placed on the east side of Nevada and be right in the middle between Kansas and San Francisco.
Well, it's Ely, Nevada is right off the I-70, the loneliest road in the world.
Oh, dude, I run so many cyberpunk campaigns down the loneliest road, down the highway.
Yeah. I love this. You know, I love the long, lonely road. That's why I wrote my my post-Holocaust game was all roadside attraction post-Holocaust, which I have to revisit someday. It was just too good of an idea to leave hanging. But yeah, I love the idea. I love wondering what's going on there, you know, in the middle of the world. What's going on in Kansas, right? When
we're going to see a bunch of that. No, we're not. because Dodge cars will not last long enough to get to the dark future. All right, I shouldn't say that because we're getting a Dodge Dart down for me to fix up to give away to somebody. But old Dodge, Mopar, 60s, 70s, that's fine.
Muscle cars, yeah.
Muscle car era.
Yeah.
They're expensive. Mopar or no cars because you can't afford another car if you're fixing up a Dodge. But they're expensive to fix up, but they make a ton of power and they're really awesome. Everybody loves a 69 Charger or a 71 Challenger. Love it. However, Dodge from like 1980 forward is an electrical nightmare that constantly breaks down and burns itself up and is just terrible. Dodge has not made a quality product since like 1976 or so. So, yeah, Cyber City Dodge will not have a bunch of Dodge cars because unless they're from 1960, they probably didn't survive.
No.
Aha! The Agile Monk is in.
Hello, Agile Monk. Welcome.
Yeah, Agile Monk, great guy right there. Actually, the last guest I had on the show.
Yes.
So, we have superheroes.
Yep, superheroes.
Have all of your products been, because you have more than just Vigilantes on Drive Thru RPG.
On Drive Thru, I have, Vigilantes is the main one, but I have a couple others. I have the failed experiment Fresno, Nevada, and all its various post-apocalypse incarnations, because it's kind of a mess, but I need to revisit it and redo it, give it the justice, because it's just too good of an idea to let go. Then, the stuff I did with Wretched, and then there's a huge gap where I wasn't really publishing stuff. But yeah, if you look, my name's out there. I was one of the original playtesters for D&D Next that became 5e for the first year or so. There's a game out there called Armageddon 2066 that I worked on. But yeah, nothing really major until the last 4 or 5 years. I went through a large period where I was just running D20, a 9-year-long Pathfinder game. So I didn't need to make anything because everything was out there already. But then I got the bug, in 2017, 2018, when suddenly I've got a lot of free time because there's an apocalypse.
There you go.
D&D is cool.
By the way, hey, you have officially made more money off this stream than me, because obviously everybody ignored my super chat goal. But old Mikey D, which, by the way, 5e Sparkle Troll group, you modern gamers, our D beats your D. Y'all have Jenny D, we have Mikey D.
Hi, Mikey D.
But it looks like he did pick up version 2 of your game before he.
Thank you very much, Mikey D. I look forward to hearing what you think of it. Remember, it is a constantly evolving project.
Michael Dale, we appreciate it, man. We appreciate you stopping by. But yes, once again, just so everybody knows, and do I have that link around here somewhere? I know I do.
If not, I can post it.
It is it's down there in the description, by the way, folks. And if you want to post it in private chat, I'll make sure it gets into regular chat. Drive Thru RPG, OGGM has Vigilantes for Shadowdark 2. If you are running Shadowdark, this is, I'll tell you this right now, because Shadowdark's new enough that most people who are running campaigns are probably still like very hard into their first campaigns, or maybe their second at the most. But here's the deal, guys. If you need a palate cleanser between sessions, if you want something a little bit different to maybe run for that, New Year's Eve, Christmas, Memorial Day, whatever game, that like we do, where sometimes we say, hey, you know what, I'm gonna, we're running this campaign, but for Halloween we're gonna play this Call of Cthulhu game or something. Those kind of party sessions, why do you not have it? Pick up Vigilantes 2. Because then you don't have to change systems, but you get a totally different feel. You're already playing Shadowdark. Grab Vigilantes for Shadowdark 2, and you have got an entirely different game that nobody has to learn any new rules for. And the Lulu and the Drive Thru RPG are now over there in the comment section. So make sure.
Yeah, I would love to sometimes, if she ever has free time, to talk to Kelsey about, did she have any idea the direction it would go, or that a whole subset of games would grow out of Shadowdark? Because I'm not the only one. Victor did Blacklight. We got 2 space games, 2 post-Holocaust games that have all been done using Shadowdark. So it's Shadowdark Modern is growing in a weird way. So it'll be interesting to see how people run with this system. I mean, just like Merc Borg, whoever thought that would get as big as it is.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. And I do love that you're like, hey, I came on this, like, I'm on your stream and we're going to talk about my game and all my cool stuff. But by the way, let me shill everybody else's stuff while I'm here.
That's what I'm here for.
Magnanimous person on the internet that's not a Bro SR member.
I don't think they'd have me because I see through the kayfabe. But
well, they're not actually magnanimous either. I don't think they know what the word magnanimous means either.
Yes, well.
Though I do think it's hilarious. We do have a new sign of the end times. You will know to look outside your window for the horsemen in the sky and for the Lord coming down to reap the faithful. When you hear Condor DM call them the Bro SR instead of the Bro OSR. Because to my knowledge, he is the only person on the internet who does not understand that they are the Bro SR. And that's how the OSR fits into them.
Yes, they are the NWO of gaming.
That's right. I wonder if he called them like the NWOSR.
Not yet.
I'm sorry, he would have called them the NWO OSR as opposed to the NWO.
Don't know if he's that culturally aware.
Probably.
I don't like talking about him, but yeah. You're not as smart as you think you are, kid.
No, he's special. But yeah, I do love that you keep pitching everybody else's stuff, which is awesome. Except for poor old me. You don't pitch my stuff.
I just gave you 10 extra bucks for COVID to get the
I meant in this stream.
But anyway, I said it at the beginning. Why doesn't Daniel have 1,000 subs yet, dude? I'll say it again. And Daniel and I have gone at each other more than once in friendliness. He's called me a straw man more than once, and I've embraced that, as I usually do. I'm embracing that I'm an AI now, as you know. If you insult me, I'll embrace it. Every time Scott Garrity called me a name, I embraced it. So I remember when Daniel first started with Driving and Dragons, there's him in the car talking, and I look at him now and it's like, I am so amazed and proud to watch my friend grow like this. Why do you guys not give him more support? He's better than me.
No, I'm not sure if I go quite that far, but you definitely have sold more copies of your books than I have. But anyhow,
well, you sold at least 25. And only after I dropped it to $1. Let's be fair. I'm a copper, bronze, whatever bestseller because I made it $1 for a month.
Hey, point is you're selling it.
Yeah, thank you.
There's some people who made their stuff free and couldn't get that many downloads.
Yeah,
But the long and short of it here is the point is, and I've been through it. I've been through Vigilantes for Shadowdark 2.
Thank you.
And the long and short of it is that you have made a system, you've made a supplement that plugs very seamlessly into the system that works extremely well and has the right modifications to it that I haven't had a chance to sit down and play it. But just from the table read, it appears that it is very much so going to invoke that feeling that's necessary, which I have always said is extremely important. Was way more important than rule set, was way more important than balance, is that whatever you do has the feeling you are working for. and you're smart enough to look and say, Shadowdark is not 4-color comics. Shadowdark is not Modern Avengers. Shadowdark is Silver Age or 80s.
Yeah.
Shadowdark is Frank Miller.
Yes.
And you went that way. And a lot of people are bad about that with their actual gaming tables, where it's like, well, I'm trying to play, I want to do this, kind of cool investigation game, and I'm going to use D&D 5e. It's like, no, you're not.
You're not.
It works because 5e wasn't designed for that, and the system's not built for it, and nothing about the system works to make a good investigative game. You need to go to Call of Cthulhu or something.
As I always say when I'm defending 5e, if you run it the way it's written, and I'm lucky enough to be in one game where the guy actually ran it the way it's intended, it fucking works. As long as you understand, it's not King Arthur medieval fantasy. It's Saturday morning 1980s fantasy. 5e is He-Man. It's not Excalibur.
Yep.
And if you try and run Excalibur, it doesn't work. But if you embrace the ridiculousness, the advantage, disadvantage, all the other stuff, yeah, it's Thunder the Barbarian. It's He-Man. It's Saturday morning cartoon fantasy, as it should be.
Which is exactly why you don't run your Vigilantes 2 through 5e, because
I would if I use the 5e system, I'd use Everyday Heroes. Oh wait, didn't I already talk to them about that?
Yes, Everyday Heroes is great. I mean, let's not get twisted. When it comes to just like a modern action movie type game, Everyday Heroes is pretty perfect.
Yeah, I just had the director on this morning talking about the new one. I don't know if you saw that. Shout out to myself. They got the rights to Valerian and the World of 10,000 Planets, and they got the rights to Living Dead. So they just did a Return of the Living Dead role playing game, and I'm like, oh my god, I have to send a link to this to the Soska sisters. I was just talking about Living Dead. So they're amazing. The amount of AIs, IPs they've got. Yeah, it's a great system for modern. Nothing but
respect. It really is. And really, it's a great system for cinematic modern.
Yeah.
John Wick, John Woo, Matrix,
Highlander.
Yep. Nobody.
Pacific Rim. All the titles they've gotten.
Yep. Not only all the every title they've gotten, plus like every 80s action movie ever.
Like, yeah. And they can say that they almost had a movie on Netflix, Yeah. Who else, how many of us can say, yeah, we almost had a sort of a movie on Netflix?
There's no doubt that EDH has been quite popular, and that's because they recognized what that system was best for, and they had the resources to lean into it with IPs that people recognized.
Oh God, yes.
And that did it. And because that could have gone so wrong. They could have used those resources to get the wrong IP. They could have picked up a something that's like way more realistic, or they could have picked up Excalibur, for example, and tried to lean into that, and it wouldn't have worked. But instead, they pick up The Crow, and they pick up Escape from New York, and they pick up, Mad Max, and it's like, this is exactly that is a prime example of recognizing where a system's strengths lie, which, to turn it back to what we're supposed to be talking about here, is exactly what you did with Shadowdark and Vigilantes. You adapted what you were doing to make sure, and I'll bet you it's probably why, even as you've admitted, that you kind of made a mistake going with the Wretched system. Is on its surface, at least from the marketing pitch, you would say, it seems like the Wretched system would be a perfect fit for this style of game, but it's really not.
Yeah, it wasn't.
The Wretched system is not. Yeah, it's not really well designed for the type of game you're running. It'd probably be a great Evil Dead game.
Yeah.
It's more of a body horror simulator.
Yeah, they're very body horror. Yeah. but nothing.
When I think the wretched system, I think how can I make a game out of the B-17 scene from Heavy Metal?
Oh man, that movie's so good.
That's what I think of when I think of the wretched system. I think of that particular scene.
It is a great scene for people who haven't seen it. It is scary. It is amazing. Oh, I mean, let's face it. Everything in that movie is amazing.
Oh, that is a perfect example of how to use rotoscoping really well.
Yeah.
But I mean, especially like that particular scene though, it really, really hits all the notes.
Yeah.
But that's what Wretched, to me as a game, that's what Wretched feels like. That's not superhero.
No, it never was.
Reading Frank Miller, Punisher Max, it doesn't really fit Wretched. That's not right.
No.
It needs something that is a little bit more polished and modern, which Shadowdark does. It takes the modern leverage that you get out of 5e, and it adds enough OSR grittiness to it that you get that Frank Miller feeling.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is what it is. I think I've pushed it as far as I can. I don't know what else I could do with it. I tried to do post-apocalypse. That didn't really work. But let's face it was kind of all over the place. But yeah, I've got ideas I need to revisit and other ideas I want to do. But I don't know what the next system will be. Maybe it'll be D30. I don't know. Maybe Daniel and I will work together.
Well, I mean, hey, to be fair, I developed D30 as a system first. The core D30 system rulebook that I have started writing, that I have the most work done on, is actually more like GURPS than anything else. It is literally a how to use this system to build your own game.
Hey, GURPS, another system I know well and wrote for.
Well, then I realized that my system would probably fail for the same reason GURPS did, and the same reason that people complain about 3.5 D&D is they're lazy.
Yeah.
3.5 is a really fantastic system if you have a DM who's going to put in the hours and hours of work as a pseudo game designer to make sure that he tailors the 3.5 rule set to what you're trying to do and doesn't just allow everything.
Yeah.
Same thing with GURPS is that you give GURPS.
Yeah. Once you start releasing the supplements, same thing Pathfinder had and is doing again. If you release a supplement, people are going to assume I can use it. Yeah. Not that you can't. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it's like, no. It's modular. We got to plug in the right pieces. And same thing with GURPS, where it's like, what do you mean you gave me a box of pieces I'm supposed to build a game out of? Screw you. And, GURPS does nothing, but Vampire the Masquerade all of a sudden takes off. And it's like, well, that is GURPS. No, that's somebody who took GURPS, built it into a vampire game, and sold that.
Yes.
So I'm like, maybe I should make a game out of my system and then maybe sell the system to aspiring designers afterwards.
Yeah. That's what I did. Somebody else made the system and I designed it because I don't want to make a system. So, if I did.
Hey, there you go.
I would rather plug things into existing systems and mess with them.
Less math that way.
Which is greater for
a lot easier to recognize that a system is good at something than it is to build a system that's good at something.
Yeah, math is always an issue. Getting my computer to do what it's supposed to do is always an issue.
Well, I don't even think it's just the math. It's what do you abstract?
Yeah.
Because all of these games are based on focus and abstraction. What am I going to focus on? What are going to be the things they get really granular on? We were talking earlier about like firearms. Does my system really need to have like 14 different models of Smith & Wesson with their own statistics in them that are slightly different than the similar models of Glock?
Yeah.
Well, if I'm dealing with some kind of modern handgun dueling system, that probably matters. If I'm dealing with anything else, then no, I just need like medium handgun. And it's what do you abstract and what do you focus on? And I've seen so many times where a system is built for, say, medieval fantasy. It abstracts the wrong things. It focuses on the wrong things. and the game doesn't work, but those abstractions work extraordinarily well for, say, modern.
Yeah.
And the example I always use is like, if we really want truly realistic hand-to-hand medieval combat, we need to be making about 30 opposed rolls for every attack, because, what foot do you have your balance on? What direction are you moving? Are you feinting? Are you striking at a high-low angle or a mid-angle? Are you working around? There's 14,000 variables in throwing a single punch.
Yep.
But it's way better to abstract that into attack roll versus armor class.
Yeah, and then add special effect afterwards.
Bingo, because combat's more... The feeling you need from combat is fast and brutal.
Yes.
And it's not fast and brutal if I need to make 40 games roll master.
Yes, exactly. Yes. Once it starts breaking down to action, reaction, bonus action.
Bingo.
Yeah.
So I think that's a lot of it. It's a lot easier to look back and say, hey, look, I shouldn't say it's a lot easier. It's a different skill set to recognize, hey, this game, the way it's set up, the things it abstracts and the things it focuses on are really good for investigation or suspense or action. So I'm going to make a game that plays into those abstractions and plays into those focuses, and that's what's going to look really awesome. That's what they did with Everyday Heroes.
Yeah.
They recognized that, hey, the things that 5e makes really abstract and the things that they really focus on works perfect for this commando action movie game.
Yep.
And I think you actually did a really good job with that with Shadowdark, recognizing that Shadowdark works really, really well with that gritty 80s Dark Knight superhero style.
Yeah. The grim dark is implied. I just exploded it into one specific style. It works. I'm sure there's just things that Shadowdark doesn't work with, like the Shadowdark space game works, but the Shadowdark post-apocalypse one, who knows? We'll see. At least the one I made didn't work, but it's interesting to see where she's going to go next, or if she's going to make a different game,
It may have just not hit at the right time and the right way, my friend. And who knows? Maybe you roll it back out with a new coat of paint and it takes off.
Yeah, better art, more linear, less scatterbrained. Like I said,
up a little bit, get that sandpaper out.
Yeah. It make the voice. The same problem I had with version 1 was the voice. I didn't make it clear enough who the voice in Surge version 1 was, and I didn't make it clear enough who the voice was in my post-apocalypse. So that was the main problem, I think.
So I think we're going to move on to something here real quick that
sure.
As just because I have to be different.
Okay.
I gotta be a little different than everybody else, so I can show everybody that I do it a better way. Do this a little backwards.
Sure.
Never went over some stuff. What is your gaming history? Because you've been at this for a while.
How much time do you have, Daniel?
From what I understand, you were a rainbow-haired punk back in the 80s, and Arnold Schwarzenegger beat you up and took your clothes.
Is that what it was? I haven't heard that version of my origin story, but sure, yeah.
Well, it's the beginning of the Terminator as he comes out and he kind of beats up the spiky-haired punk in the 80s.
Yeah, that was me. Yeah. My gaming secret origin, or just what I've worked on, or how long I've been doing this?
Just your history, kind of where you came from with it. How
you
got into it.
When I have these conversations with my guests and other people, I have come to the conclusion that my gaming history is extremely unique because 90% of it is Southern California. And I think the Southern California West Coast grognard style is completely different than a lot of the other styles. So when I talk about the stuff we did when I was coming up, people are like, no, that's not how we played. So I think mine's very unique to who I was, where I was at the time, stuff like that. So how I got interested, starting from backwards, how I got interested in gaming in the first place was because of the figures. And I've told this story several times. And I still can vividly remember there was a little teeny hub store at the Glendale Galleria on the top of the second floor, right by the parking lot. As you walked in to the left, it was a 10 by 10 room, all white, just lined with shelves of metal figures and pewter figures. The Lord of the Rings figures, all those little pixie figures, the dragon holding the crystal. And he had like the very first D&D figures, some Napoleonics. And every time we went to the Glendale Galleria, I would just gravitate for that store, and they could not get me out of it. I was so fascinated with that teeny little world. And he told me it was for D&D. So of course, 7-year-old, 6-year-old me asked Santa for D&D. So it appears underneath my Christmas tree, 1976. And I'm just trying to make sense of it, and then I don't really start actually playing to like the early 80s. And then when I'm finally actually playing with people, we weren't playing D&D. There's like a 20-year span where there was no D&D in my life. It was superheroes. The very first real super game I was playing with friends was Villains and Vigilantes. And Marvel Superhero, which is a lifesaver if for me. So yeah, I wasn't really playing D&D, and when we were playing D&D, it was very Dave Hargrave, Arduin Grimoire, Gonzo D&D, fighting dinosaurs that were being ridden by Nazis, and stuff like that, going through all that weird Arduin Grimoire.
Laser Raptor.
Thunder the Bar. I mean, it was it was very Thunder the Barbarian, very Wizards, very sci fantasy, and then didn't really start playing D&D again until after college. It was just superheroes, and then of course GURPS, and then that's probably where most people know me from. Is somehow I ended up playtesting GURPS Supers, and then I wrote GURPS IST with Lloyd Blankenship, and then that led to me working on GURPS Cyberpunk and the whole thing with the Secret Service rating Steve Jackson Games, and GURPS Horror, and then that went to hey, do you want to do GURPS Martial Arts for us? And as you know, one of my very best friends, I actually gamed with Hargrave. We went through an adventure of his called God Home. That was right before he passed. So yeah, one of my closest, dearest friends is World Martial Arts Hall of Fame TJ Storm. So they're like, hey, do you want to work on a martial arts game? And I'm like, turns out I've got Don the Dragon Wilson, TJ Storm, and Cynthia Rothrock on speed dial because I play D&D with them every Sunday. So I did that. I did a couple other GURPS things, and then I was working with Arts of Solian, and I was doing Cyberpunk with stuff, and I kept bugging Mike, let's do a superhero role-playing game, because everything always defaults back to superhero role-playing game. And he said, well, we're doing, actually, I can't tell anybody this, but we're doing something with Champions. And that became Champions the New Millennium, which I helped write. And then that led to Fusion, which a lot of the early stuff I did was in Fusion, and a game called Numenor. Fusion became Silhouette. Silhouette became Heavy Gear. And then that was about the time where I was working in the studio system. So I stopped really doing gaming and focused more on scripts and my poetry, and then started writing gaming stuff again, really seriously, as writing for myself. There's games I worked on that if you go through, you probably see my name, Armageddon 2024, a couple other ones out there. But yeah, like the Apocalypse was really just the impetus to start writing. The channel had been going on for about 4 years. Yes, Condor, I've been doing this since 2015. But when I started,
but what you're telling me is that you didn't just make up a bunch of random, like you're not a game designer who just copies everybody else's game.
No, because your game is totally original. No, it's not. And I can tell you exactly what games you copied, Condor.
Because you worked on half of them back in the 90s.
GURPS, Arts of Solian, Numenor, a couple other games that pittered out. Growing up, you couldn't walk 5 feet when I was a kid without running into somebody who was designing a game. Everybody was making their own game. Every time I got into a con, I would end up sitting up in a play test. And then I wrote my disaster of my very first game, Project 97. And, people said, well, this is a horrible game, but the skill system is great. Can we use your skill system? So, yeah, and that became Forge, which became Interlock, which became Fusion, which became Silhouette. But yeah, recently, I really started again because the channel was about 3 years old. It was 2015 was I started doing the channel, and the channel back then was talking about the D&D games we were playing at Seth's and Power Rangers. And then I did that infamous video about what is a dungeon, and that attracted me, the certain attraction of a certain individual. And then I started focusing more on game design, and then I moved and created the OG GM persona, and really just trying to find my niche.
Is that video still up?
What
is a dungeon?
Which version? The original one or all the other ones that I've made since then? I redo it once a year just to piss them off.
I meant the original version. I didn't realize you do it every single year to piss him off.
Yeah, it's on my other channel.
I'll have to dig that up.
Yeah, it's somewhere on my other channel. This is like technically the second channel, even though it's bigger than the first. But all I do in the first is my photography now. So videos of Steve and butterflies, and when I'm out on my walks taking pictures. But yeah, that video and the video where he says I don't live in California are somewhere on the original channel.
I don't live in California.
You can't walk to work. You must be lying about you live in California. And I was like, you're absolutely right. I don't live in California. I live on a small island off the coast of Costa Rica. Perhaps you've heard of it. We're experimenting on dinosaurs. And people believed that I lived in Costa Rica. That was the funniest part of that. Is when I started saying I was living on a small island off the coast of Costa Rica. People were like, what's Costa Rica like? I was like, don't you get the reference?
Well, I would almost believe it because I wouldn't admit to living in California personally.
Yeah, well, I'm happy. I mean, it's not where I want to be. I keep trying to get out, but it keeps dragging me back. So, yep. I guess I'm the West Coast Grognard, as Garaby called me.
Ah, the West Coast Grognard. That's right. I forgot about that name, the West Coast Grognard.
West Coast Grognard. Yeah, he kept calling me West Coast.
And the only nickname I have is Guy Who Drives.
Yeah, you're Guy Who Drives. I was West Coast Grognard. Then what does he call me now? I don't know. I think he put me in my place and gave me a tongue lashing again the other night. And I was like, he did what? You, that just sounds, why would I want you? No, tongue lashing? No, yuck. I don't want you anywhere near me, you unwashed.
That's right. You hear that double D? You got tongued by Condor.
You got tongued the other night, D.
California keeps you in the tutorial of home ownership.
Oh, God, yes. HOAs. I hate my house.
I think he's more referring to the fact that you can't get to the part where you actually own a home.
Yeah, I own a home.
But I'll put it to you this way. I work in the mortgage industry, and there are a lot of special programs that you can look and read between the lines, and you're like, these are for California and New York.
Yes.
It's like none of these. It's like, by the way, the maximum loan you can get on the federal, on the FHA loan is going to be, $487,000. That's the maximum you can get, unless you live in California where it's 1.4 million, because that's what a 2-bedroom, 1-bath starter home costs in California.
Yep.
I mean, unless you live out in the middle of the desert, and then you can't find comps for your appraisal. So we got a special for that too.
Well,
no, you gotta love that about California. It's like there's this
Fresno,
narrow
Nevada
strip
is
that runs down the
side
that's expensive.
Yeah, Fresno, Nevada is the beachside town of Ventura, California.
Yep, beachside town of Fresno, Nevada.
Nevada.
To Costa Rica in a bunker under the ground.
Yep. People actually believed at a small island that I lived on there. I was like, yeah, I'm looking out my window at the brontosauruses right now. And they're like, oh, you're talking about, I was like, yeah.
Yeah, that's right.
Island of Vera, Site A. That's why I called it Site A for so long. And Site B is the nod to Jurassic Park.
Yeah, which is hilarious because you got nods to just about it. I'm not even sure if you recognize all the nods you have, because you also do the whole concrete bunker under the ground thing, which is like the beginning of the Mark Levin show.
Yeah. Broadcasting live from Site B. Yeah, that's the Site B radio.
Concrete bunker underneath a nondescript building.
I did that one for a while. Yeah.
Yep.
But now it's I'm an AI somewhere in a imaginary town.
Yep.
Broadcasting live on Site B Radio.
There you go.
KSIP.
KSIP. Oh man! Look at this guy to kind of talk about. He's heard HOA stories. Oh, I'm gonna tell you this. I'm gonna say something about this that's gonna piss off what remains of my audience here. There's nothing wrong with HOAs.
Not if they do their job.
No. Here's the thing. When you move into one, you sign up for it. So I don't really have any sympathy for you because you sign a shitload of paperwork that says you recognize this and you agree to all these rules. If you don't want to agree to abide by those rules, don't buy a house in the HOA. It's really
I didn't really have a choice, but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it happens. They're like, I don't have an HOA, but there's sometimes I wish I did because I got an asshole across the street from me who has like 6 homemade fences around his front yard, which holds a trampoline, a dog breeding operation, and a dead tree. And it does great things for my property value.
Yeah.
So there's sometimes where I'm like, I could do with a couple of Karens with a ruler holding it up to the grass.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, HOAs can get crazy, but the simple fact of the matter is all they are is voluntary associations of people who agree to live by certain rules. And here's one right here. Going to educate the youngins here. What if the HOA comes in your area? That's not how it works.
No.
In order to form an HOA, yeah, well, not only that, but every single person who owns property in the HOA has to agree to it. All of them. So usually an HOA only forms when a developer is going to build a neighborhood. So like, for instance, I'm working on right now, we have 20 homes in the subdivision. Right now, all 20 lots are owned by the developer. He can form an HOA because he's 100% of the ownership. If he had one more person, if he had sold one house in the neighborhood, that one person could stop him from forming an HOA. It has to be 100% of all the owners have to agree. So you can't just like an HOA just can't show up and magically appear where you were already minding your own damn business. You bought into one.
Yes. Well, yes.
Yeah. So, that's just one of those things that kind of irritates me a little bit because I'm like, you complain about something you signed up for. What it really is you didn't bother to read the damn fine print when you bought something.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Well, the fine print for my HOA is amazing because it was like written in the 70s.
When this place you do have a lot of those. There's some that are kind of funny. He's like,
my favorite is you can have 50 fish, but you can't have 51 fish. So somewhere at some point in time, somebody came by and counted the fish that somebody had and said, you can have 50, but 51 is violating the rules. And when I read that, I was like, oh, I got to live here because now I got to try and get 51 fish.
So, gotta go. You're asking, are most HOA stories we're here not valid? No, that's not the truth. Here's the thing. Once the HOA let's say there's 50 houses in a neighborhood. Once 26 of them are owned by the homeowners, and generally sometimes it's even more than that based on some contract wrangling. What essentially happens is it gets turned over to the homeowners. You elect people to a board who run the homeowners association, and within the constrictures of the covenants, they have certain authority. So for instance, the covenants might say that the HOA has the ability to write rules on pets. The problem is that you have 50 people. Let's just say, make the math easy. You got 50 people in the subdivision. Well, only 3 of them actually pay attention, and they get to elect the board, and the board is the 3 people who actually pay attention. And then they just make all the rules, and everybody gets pissed off because they didn't bother to pay attention during homeowner association board election time. Home ownership, HOAs tend to have like an election rate of like 5% of the population that vote.
Mm-hmm.
And then when the rules come out, they get pissed because they didn't bother to pay attention to what was going on. They got 9 notices that got mailed to them that said, hey, we're thinking about doing this. And they ignored all of them until it happened.
Yep.
But you do have some that get out of hand. You get the people who are like, your grass can't be over 6 inches. And next thing you know, the HOA is running around fining you for 6.5 inch grass because Karen got on the board because you didn't bother to vote.
Yeah.
And then you have others that are just like, hey man, don't have junk vehicles in your front yard. We don't need a scrap yard.
And you're not going to get news stories and TikToks about an HOA that works the way it's supposed to. You're only going to get the TikToks about when the Karen goes insane, So that's why the myth builds up, It's
just like anything else. I mean, you don't ever hear about the thing that happened 500 times. You hear about the thing that happened the 1 out of 500 times.
Yeah. Nobody wants to hear the story about, hey, every time I call to have them fix something, they come.
That's right.
That's boring. We want to hear the story about the time they didn't come.
Yeah, it's like normally when I call customer service, I'm on a hold for like 5 minutes. No, I was on hold for 5 hours. It's like you're the one person this year who was on hold for 5 hours. I was gonna say we don't care. We don't care. But we vicariously live through everything else, and all we care about is the exception because the exception's what's interesting.
Yes.
And you know what's a great exception? Vigilantes for Shadowdark 2.
Cycleback boys.
Exception to the way you could normally play Shadowdark. So you should go buy a copy.
Yes. Please buy a copy.
Hurry, because as soon as he gets off the stream, OGGM's going to run and jack the price back up.
No, it's staying for $10 through the month of March at least.
There you go. Hey, through the month of March, you got another 18 days, folks, to go get it for $10.
$10. When I can't see any spending more than $20 on it because it's as fixed as I can get it without like switching to Affinity. But I think I've done everything I could do with Word to make it look as good as it does. I've had other professional gamer designers look at it and go, unless you want to switch formats, it's probably so the trick now is just to convince people to buy it, to find that magic button and go, hey, buy my game.
So, I mean, I know that this is essentially you updating and correcting the original Vigilantes. But, and I don't know if I've never sold anything on Drive Thru, so I'm not familiar with this process. Are you able to and if you're able, do you plan on having like a Vigilantes and Vigilantes 2 bundle?
If there was enough interest in Vigilantes 1, there's nothing in Vigilantes 1 that isn't in this one. But if people wanted to see the original and get like the original, the other thing in there is like all the art that was AI of like the specific characters that maybe people liked. It's like, where's that cool picture of so and so? But other than that, there's nothing in V1 that isn't in V2. It is definitely the evolution of what it should be, both physically and story-wise and system-wise. It's finally the point whereas I can go, okay, if people like this, I'll kickstart it to be, like what Victor did with Blacklight. Again, tip of the hat to Victor and Blacklight, which is the inspiration. And if not, then I'll be like, okay, I made $100 off of it. It is what it is. There's no market for a Shadowdark superhero game. What's next? I'm always about what's next. So right now it's just fixing up the art, fixing up the layout, listening to people's suggestions. I'm always open to suggestions, guys. I'm not going to tell you insult you for saying things about my game. Please tell me things about my game because I don't see the mistakes.
Well, nobody. There's a reason why karate studios have mirrors all around them. Yeah. Karate studios, ballet studios, gymnastic studios, they're all surrounded in mirrors because you can't watch yourself.
Yeah, I can't watch myself. I need other people to tell me, like I thought the story made sense, but other people are like, no, you can't tell the difference between which voice is talking in the two games. When is Tag talking and when is it the game? And I was like, no, it was all supposed to be Tag from the beginning to the end. She's telling the story of the game, but it never came across. So I got rid of that.
Hey, I mean, you live, you learn, you polish, you get better. And I'll give you a couple pieces of advice here. The big one is if you haven't already tried to get a hold of him, reached out to him and approached him, is RPG Elite. Sarvin Shiloh over on RPG Elite. He's a big superhero gaming guy.
Okay.
So and he's a pretty big channel. I mean, he's one of the biggest in our corner of the hobby. He would be a great person to approach with a superhero game, just to be perfectly honest. I think his audience plays to that because he's Gamma World and Marvel and all the different superhero and superpower stuff.
Yeah, the trouble is a lot of these guys who want to do, want you to, one, pay them, and two, send them a physical copy. And I'm like, yeah, I don't have that kind of money.
I'm not sure if old Servant of Shiloh would be too bad on that, because he seems like he's a pretty down to earth guy and is kind of here for the philosophy. So it's worth reaching out. But the second thing that I would say, and this is, there's going to be some people who say, oh, that's some shady marketing bullshit. He just said everything that's in version 1's in version 2. Go into it and say that, like, for an extra $1.50 or an extra $2 or something, you get both games.
Yeah,
so it's like for $10 you get one. I have to
figure out how to set up a bundle. I tried that, but I have to go back and do that again.
Yeah, and you get the bundle where you get it for $12 instead of for $10. You get both.
Yeah, as soon as I figure out how bundles work.
Yeah, you're going to have some people who bitch and complain and say, well, you really just gave me the old, not finished version of the game and the new versions. Like, what?
I've been sending it to a lot of people for free.
Yeah.
But people got the first one and they're like, why should I get the second one? And I'm like, I'll send it to you for free.
Yeah, perception is reality, and it looks like more value. So it's like, hey, here, for $12, you get both games.
Yeah, I mean, I've had people submit 4 different character sheets to me. So as soon as I can figure out how, I'm going to add that on. Here's a bundle with just the character sheets.
Yeah, throw you some character sheets in there. But I think that the like I said, when I penned through it, I was like, yeah, this works. This fits. I think that the Shadowdark mystique and the Shadowdark feel actually fits with the superhero. Because let's face it, what is Shadowdark? Shadowdark is a blending of modern superhero style fantasy RPG with old school exploration and threat.
Yeah.
And what is an 80s Frank Miller style vigilante superhero game? It's superhero superpowers paired with gritty real world realism. So it's kind of a match made in heaven.
Thank you.
So it's definitely, I think it's definitely a fit, and everybody should run out and get their copy of it.
Yes, please.
As a matter of fact, like I said, old Mikey D bought one right here on the stream.
Thank you, Mikey D. Greatly appreciate it. Please let me know what you think. I am always open to
absolutely. Shame on you for stealing my super chat. He said he bought your book. Yep, absolutely, yeah. Servant of Shiloh is a great guy. He really is.
I will reach out to him.
Guys, we're rolling up on the 2-hour mark here. You got your real estate lesson for the night.
Who knew that was going to happen, guys?
Yep, you got some game design talk. You got some back scenes, behind the curtain look at how things are thought about, and how a game designer actually goes about approaching a project. You got to hear about a fantastic game and hear some conversation between two guys you didn't want to hear talk.
Exactly.
So, I appreciate you coming in here and letting us bend your ear a little bit. And
yes, thank you, each and every one of you, for taking time.
Yep. And here's the thing. All you have to do is hit the super chat button and pay to tell us how annoying we were. And I will make sure that it gets read out on Intelligence as a dump stat.
I cannot argue with that logic. It makes perfect sense to me. I am an AI. Beep. Yes. Super chat this guy so he can say nice things about you on Intelligence as a dump stat.
I didn't say I was going to say nice things.
Oh, well, I've never failed my intelligence, but I failed the wisdom one all the time. If you ever did wisdom as a dump stat, I'd be on that one every week.
Oh, man, wisdom as a dump stat. It's a spinoff series. I'll have to do a soft pilot on that. But anyway, guys, OGGM, I appreciate you coming out and hanging out with me for a little while.
Anytime. I'm always available. I am a hoe.
Well, you're always welcome. You're always welcome to pop in, say hi and everything. If you are still in the chat right now, why are you not buying this game? And why are you not supporting Corvid Codex?
Yeah.
Except for most of you probably are, which is awesome. But and I love each and every one of you.
So do
guys, I appreciate y'all for coming out, and appreciate you coming out.
Let's get Daniel to 1,000 subs.
Yeah, there you go. Get me to 1,000 subs, and let's get OGGM up to at least silver. Maybe get to that platinum bestseller level.
Oh wow! Could you imagine if I could rub that in some people's face?
Dude, if I had that kind of rub, I wouldn't be kickstarting my book. But anyway, guys, appreciate y'all for coming out. Thank you for being here, and send your friends this way. Tell them that you heard all about OGGM's great new game and that you know exactly where you need to hear all the nitty-gritty facts about it. And I'll see you guys on the next one. Be here Monday for Intelligence's Dump Stat. Keep your eyes open for the 7 Habits of Highly Effective Game Designers. And
the Streets of Fresno coming soon.
There you go. Streets of Fresno coming soon, probably about the same time as I get around to doing the neutral video for my alignment. Anyway, you guys have a good one. Thank you for coming out.
Good night, guys. Thank you.
Peace.